Oops.
Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Cindy Baldwin.
And this is the midweek version of Fiber Talk, the twice weekly podcast for needlework artists. And before we started here, we were talking about Sunday's guest, Jessica Kemper. And you were mentioning, and then that's when I hit record, is that she's one of those that's figured it out. And she was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I I I really enjoyed listening to her and her, her sustainability goals and using thrifted clothing and things like that to stitch on. But also, I thought it was great that she just picked up a needle and thread and figured out how to do what she wanted to do and to
Yeah.
make, like she was talking about how she did the fur,
Right. Right.
and it's really, I mean, you called it thread painting, and that's what I would call it too. It's using whatever stitches and thread you need to use to achieve the look you.
Right.
And I wonder how long it took her to figure that out.
Yeah. Test after test. Yeah. But
Yeah.
but that's the cool thing is just that. She doesn't have any preconceived anything, doesn't have any stitch police saying, no, no, that's not right. Just, I want to look. I have a needle and some thread, and I'm going to figure out how to get that look.
Well, and Alexandrina
Yep.
Dordea
Same thing.
is another one.
Yep.
Uh, totally different look, but the same thing. Just experimented with the different techniques
Yep.
till she finds whichever one does what she needs it to do.
Right. Yep. I so admire that
I do
open
too.
minded, just go for it. That's
Hmm.
not everybody has that. I certainly don't.
No, I don't either. And I know that there's a lot of people that just do not want to uh, you do somebody else's pattern because, for whatever reason, maybe they can't find the design that they want, or they, I don't know, they want to do something different, so they just go off and design their own. And I was amazed when Jessica said she didn't have an art background because her
Yeah.
animals looked so good,
Yep. I was
but the
annoyed.
photography,
Just,
well,
come on.
there is that. Yeah. I mean, I was sure that she had some kind of background,
Nope.
art classes or something.
Nothing.
Now, I haven't seen the book in person, and it's hard to tell from photos. Uh, I did what you did. I found it online, and there's a few pages of the book that are available to see. But it looks like uh, for as much as you can show on a small work, the anatomy of the animals looks appropriate.
Yep. Yep. Good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you
And
there is some flexibility because they're so small
right.
in the design. You don't have to have you can't have a lot of detail. So if you're looking for, detailed muscle shape and so on, that's never going to happen. But then again, getting them that small and having it look like a fox or having it look like a seagull is not always easy too. And she pulled it
Yeah.
off.
The wolf on the cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just the way she did the legs, so that you could see that one pair was on the backside of the body, and
Right.
the other ones came to the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's she, she's done a
Yep.
good job.
Figured it out. Yep. And that I did a couple of other people's patterns and then I just wanted to do my own. That mindset, that's because for a lot of people that's a huge leap. That's just a
Mm-hmm.
giant leap, and that most people never make that leap. And for her, it was
Yeah.
right out of the gate. I gotta do my own. Yeah.
And I don't know, I think people maybe know that you have a biology background, but they probably don't know that I have a biology background too.
Yeah.
So before we started, we were talking about the field guide aspect of her book,
Right.
that she's done it as a field guide, and we have both used field guides many, many, many times.
Right.
So I think it's really a clever approach and very, very different
Yeah.
from any needlework book that you're going to see.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we actually had to look up Roger Tory Peterson field guides because we couldn't remember. It's been so long. Yeah, you lose it. Yep. But
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, own several of those. They're so handy. Yep.
Hmm.
To wildflowers and all of it. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, and I she didn't really talk about it, but I did notice that she does have a few plants in there too. She's got the animals, but there's a few plants scattered here and there
Yeah.
in what I could see online,
Yeah.
which I'm really more interested in plants than I am in the animals. But
Hmm. Yeah. No, she was special. That was pretty cool. Pretty cool. And young,
yeah.
that was the other thing. Young stitcher, young designer, has a book, made her own path. Like that's like Alexandrina, young, made her own path, figured it out,
Hmm.
and is creating original, creative stuff that people
Hmm.
can, and stuff that is approachable to just about everyone. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I'm so jealous about the art centers that she has available to her.
yeah,
Of course, Atlanta is way bigger than where I am, but we, as far as I know, we just don't have anything like that. We have an art museum up in Cedar Rapids,
hmm
but I don't, you know, we already know they don't want anything to do with embroidery.
it's
You
not
know,
oil painting or sculpture. It can't be art. Spare me.
pretty much.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think these art centers they're a little different model than a museum,
Hmm.
and maybe are a little more open to different kinds of things. I think that's where a lot of people do their shows, that are needlework.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, and last Wednesday, Cheryl Lennox with her quilts.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
that's an exhibition in an art gallery, and
Hmm.
there's another form. There's that's for me. It gets back to that mentality that needle and thread is women's work. And then when you see people like Alexandrina and Jessica and Cheryl, and well, most just everybody we talked to through the years, if you look at that work and say that's women's work, in that connotation, that sexist whatever, you're not looking at what they're accomplishing. You're just
Right.
assuming that it's needle and thread, so it has to be sewing. And no, these are people that are creating art with a medium that is not oil paint or chewed up marble. It's you know, but it's just it really frustrates me because I think so much art through the years, and Jessica Grimm is all the stuff she digs up in museums. So
Hmm.
much gorgeous, gorgeous, stunning artwork by creative people, just cast off as well. That's just
Hmm.
yeah, clothing, whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and I suppose some of it is because the majority of people, me included, stitch things that other people have designed.
yeah,
Now I change colors
mm-hmm,
on a lot of things, but and I have done some designing, but that's not what I do on a regular basis. I want to take a pattern somebody else has designed that I like and make it my own with threads and colors and all of that other kind of fun stuff.
yeah,
Is that art? I think so.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I,
and every change you make makes it more your art.
mhm.
So
and
yeah,
and even if it's cross stitch and you don't change it, uh, I still think it's a form of art.
mm-hmm,
Eh, most people would call it craft, and craft is a bad word,
yeah.
but I don't think craft is a bad word.
No, it has there is that negative kind of scrapbook, paste and scissors type of thing. But
Macaroni, gluing macaroni on.
right, yeah, kindergarten, whatever. But craft in its true form is really where you're essentially at the pinnacle. You're a craftsman. You're a craftswoman. You're at the
Hmm.
pinnacle of whatever it is you do, whether
Hmm.
it's woodworking, because if you said is a woodworking craftsman, you immediately think this is someone who can produce furniture or cabinets or any number of
Right.
things at the top end. And
Right.
so it has that double side to it because craft in grade school. Oh, geez, here we go.
Hmm.
But yeah, but then and you get needlework. I mean, craftsman. The craftswoman. It's the word is craftsman, but it doesn't matter.
Craftsperson.
Craftsperson. Yeah, but that I mean, we if somebody were labeled as that in the needlework world, we would consider them to be at the top.
Hmm.
Yeah, accomplished. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely.
So fun, yeah, and people check out Wednesday show with Cheryl Lennox.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because there's one. She's a quilt maker.
Hmm.
Okay, there's quilts that go on beds, and then there's Cheryl Lennox quilts. Holy
They're
smokes!
art quilts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where she's telling a story, she's making a statement, she's
Hmm.
taking a position on ecology and the environment. Yeah, that's yeah, and doing it sustainably with all scrap things. That was the other thing. I just run out of time with these people. Talk like Jessica Kemper. At some point, the clock says you're running out of time, and I want to get all the topics in, but I really wanted to explore that whole uh, going to Goodwill or Salvation Army or whatever and getting unwanted, unused, clothing and
Hmm.
embellishing it and making it into something instead
Hmm.
of going, to Kohl's or whatever and buying yet another new shirt.
Hmm.
Go get these unwanted shirts for a buck or two. Get her book, stitch something on there, make it yours. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, uh, that whole world. Because oh yeah, that whole fashion world, the amount of clothing it's wasted. Who
So I list. Do you listen to Haptic and Hue?
I haven't. You guys keep telling me, and I just never get to it. No.
So I listened to one yesterday about a big market in Ghana where a lot of our cast off clothing goes there,
Oh.
and they have uh, for I don't know decades probably taken this clothing and repurposed it. They make something else out of it, or they alter it, or they don't. They're not. They're altering it for clothing. They're not turning it into rags or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But so part of the podcast was about the fact that they had a huge fire,
Oh.
and I don't know if it destroyed the whole place, but it destroyed a lot of it. And it was um, basically, I think, just kind of stalls, and each person had a stall, and they did whatever they did with the clothing that they got, and then they sold it.
Mm-hmm.
So now their livelihood is gone. But then she also went on to talk about the fact that this whole fast fashion business with the inexpensive fabrics and the shoddy workmanship
Yeah.
is, they're getting things that they don't want and they can't
Oh.
use.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they can't make any money with it because it's just not worth repurposing.
Wow.
And I don't know how many tons of stuff gets shipped overseas, but it's a lot. And it goes to lots of different African countries and probably South Asian countries too. And uh, so she did talk about, she talked about reuse. Let's see, what is it? Reuse, repurpose and recycle. That's not exact. I think repurpose isn't right. Reuse, I forget what the middle one
Yeah.
is, and the last one is recycle. And recycle could be, it is either recycle it back into fabric, which means breaking it down into its component fibers, which you can't do with plastic, with
Right.
polyesters.
Yeah.
That only works with cotton, linen, silk, maybe, I don't know. And not very many people do that, and it's expensive. And
Yeah.
the other thing is to burn it for fuel.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
The middle one, and maybe it is repurpose, I don't remember, but that is taking it and making it into rags or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Uh-huh.
So it's reuse, but it's not reuse as it was originally intended.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best thing is reuse it. Don't put it in the Goodwill bag or whatever. Fix it.
Right.
If it's got holes, put a patch over it. Or we there's in at our rec center, there's a bunch of us that get together twice a month to just do. It's called craft and coffee. We
Oh.
do different
Mm-hmm.
crafting and drink coffee and whatever. And one woman brings all of her mending, and
Oh.
and she mends her son's clothes. She had a kitten. Well, she has a cat, but when it was a kitten, it just ripped her knit pants to shreds.
Uh,
So every time she came in, she had a bag full of pants and tops that she was fixing. And she'd just pull out some embroidery thread and, you know, stitch a flower over the hole or, whatever.
right.
It's just
Yeah.
fun and whimsical, and it makes that piece of clothing usable again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, until it gets to the point to where it's so threadbare that you can't fix it,
Right.
and then it becomes a rag, then you're getting your money out of your. But with the fast fashion, it's so poorly made and such crappy material that
Yeah. Yeah. See, and I struggle to relate to that because I mean, I think my family laughs at me frequently without me knowing. I mean, I like this shirt. I can't tell you how old this shirt is. I mean, I don't, I buy good stuff, good quality fabric. I don't spend I don't, but then I just wear it till it's unusable.
Mhm.
And because I hate shopping for clothes. Number one, I could care less about fashion. You
Well,
know,
you're a guy.
Yeah, and I think that well, and that does help because I can get away with a lot
Yeah.
of things, but I do. I just wear stuff till they're shot, and a lot of
Yeah.
T-shirts. What are you doing wearing that? Well, it's really just getting broken in. We're just just getting warmed
It's
up with this one.
comfortable. Yeah. Well, and I do that too. I buy things that are gonna last, and I keep them for a long time. But I was reading something, I forget what it was, but they were talking about the fact that it used to be there were two fashion seasons in a year. There was
Mm-hmm.
spring and fall, and there were big fashion shows here and in France and wherever, Italy, and then that was what you had for the year.
Yeah.
And then we started getting these fast fashion brands that are coming out with new fashions every week.
Oh, jeez.
And people see these and they, oh, well, that's something. So they buy something, they maybe wear it once,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's something new coming out next week, so they have to have that too. And because they're not well made and the fabric isn't great, they're inexpensive. And so, you get a closet full of stuff that
Huh.
isn't worth.
Huh. See, I don't even
Maybe
relate to that. You know, I don't get it. You know,
I
I
don't get
just
it
don't.
either.
Yeah. No. No. I'm at the other end of that spectrum. Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that goes to Goodwill and Salvation Army does wind up in those. African,
Mm-hmm.
Asian countries because people don't go to most people don't go to places like that to buy clothing
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever. It's not just clothing, it's sheets and
Yeah. You name it. Yeah.
bedding, all kinds of stuff that I try to. We have a one of our food pantries also has a clothes closet.
Oh.
So I've been trying to, give my clothing that doesn't have holes in it because I don't mend. But I don't get holes in things very often either.
Yeah.
So, if it
Yeah.
doesn't fit me anymore or whatever, I'll take it to the clothes closet. Or we also have a Mennonite um, thrift store
Oh.
in
Mm-hmm.
town, and they will, if it doesn't sell here, they'll send it to areas where they have missions.
Oh. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's those kinds of things. Those places are less likely to have their donations wind up
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the in the dump or
Yeah.
wherever.
Yeah. We're so American. Every time, uh, like you watch the Super Bowl or the World Series or any of those things, immediately they have a hat and a T-shirt for world champions, blah, blah, and then there is another set of all of that stuff that is now going overseas. It's such an American thing. Just cast it off. We don't care.
Hmm. Right.
Because they got to have it for both teams so they can do it immediately, and then have the ads up. You can buy your own hat and shirt, and then yep, off it goes. And that's probably a lot of it is probably that cheap stuff that is can't be repurposed, so that it's just junk. Yeah,
Right.
goes in those
Maybe
piles and
maybe wear it a few times for the games or whatever.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, I'll just stick to
yeah.
my I'll just stick to my clothes I wear day after day, week after week, till they fall off. Yep, it's all right.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yep. So those are some good ones. Jessica Kemper though, check her out. Last
Hmm.
Sunday. All right, a couple. No Stitch Hour tonight. Becky Noland of Lucy Beam will be our guest Sunday. And Becky is the other teacher in the EGA National Seminar, the Sampler U. Sylvia
Oh.
Stecker from Running with Needles and Scissors. And we've done a couple things with her. Well, we're finally going to get to talk to Becky Nolan, and she's doing a project also in Sampler U. But we've never talked to her in general. So we'll get to learn about Lucy Beam, her whole business, design business, and what she's all about. So that is coming up Sunday. And a couple of things, a technical thing. Uh, we're recording on Monday, and it's been a couple of days of website hassle. Uh, I changed the website to freshen it up and make it look better. Most people never use it because you just listen through an app or YouTube. But I freshened it up. Well, somewhere along the way, it broke the player that plays the MP3 file, the podcast, the audio podcast. So now it plays 5 to 7 minutes, and then it loops back to the beginning. So that has set off a whole series of things, and I have to put in a new player software, and that means I have to go back and replace it for almost 800 shows now. So by the time you hear this, the most recent shows will be fixed, and then as I have time, I'll probably put on a movie and sit here in front of it and do copy and paste and go back in time. But if you're having trouble, if you listen off the website and you're having trouble because it plays 5 or 7 minutes and then starts over, that's why. It's not intentional. And Beryl Roblin wrote to me. I had no idea. I mean, I just changed the look of the website, changed the theme, freshened it up, fixed set up the things. The last thing I was going to do is go and listen to an entire podcast to see if it worked, because why wouldn't it work? Well, it broke.
Because it
So,
doesn't.
yeah, because it does. So thanks to Beryl for writing to me, and we'll get that fixed, and then I'll go back through history and fix the old shows. Eventually, I'll get them all, but I'll get the most recent ones in a hurry, and then we'll work on it as we go. calls to attention again how many we've done. Holy smokes, it's a lot of shows.
And that is just for people who listen through the player
Right,
on the website.
right. Thank you.
The
Yes,
apps work fine.
yeah, yeah.
Podcast apps.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would recommend the vast majority of people listen through a podcast app, and highly recommended because that's the most efficient way to get it. You get notification, it's downloaded, you can listen. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And I checked those. That was the other thing. Immediate panic. Oh no, are they broken on the apps? No, they all work fine. So
Yeah.
that's just this thing.
Good.
Then I had another thing show up. I forget who it was wrote to me that she was having trouble listening on the Apple podcast app, and which and it turned out it was me too. I had the same problem. That's an Apple problem. I can't even.
Oh,
So if you have it can't be played on this device. If you get that error, just download the file and then you'll be able to listen to it. I don't know what it is, and it doesn't work. It's not a problem with all podcasts, so who knows? And then they'll come along and update it somewhere along the way, and it'll probably fix it. But like to write to Apple and say, "Hey, this is a problem. Would you fix this?" Yeah, they don't. They're not interested.
but it's great that people are writing to you and letting you know that
Yeah.
there's problems
Yes.
because otherwise you would never know.
Right. Right. No, that's the I guess is really the point. If you have trouble listening or watching any of the podcasts, any of the shows, please let me know. Let me know immediately because by the time I post them, I don't want to hear them anymore. Quite frankly, I've had enough of them, So I don't sit there and listen to every one from end to end because I've heard them, I've edited them, I've spot checked them. They go up, they play, I'm done.
Hmm.
Otherwise I'd spend countless hours with these things. And so if there is a problem, you got to let me know because like this one with the thing looping, there's no way I would ever have caught that. And who knew? So yes, let us know. On the positive side, if you are a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/fibertalk, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I got notification from the Patreon people, and here for the people watching the come on, cooperate. There we go. Patreon.com. For the people watching the video, I'm putting that up because I forgot to put it back up. There we go. For if you're a subscriber, I got notification that I can put the podcasts on Patreon, the regular podcasts, so that they feed automatically. So I'm working on that, and I just got a couple of little glitches that got to get worked out. But at least 10, and I hope more. So what we're getting to with that is if you use the Patreon app, you'll obviously get the stuff that we do just for Patreon members, but now you'll also get the regular audio podcasts into the Patreon app. And there is a way I can embed the videos.
Oh, good.
So what we'll end up with, if you're Patreon subscribers, if you use the app, what we'll end up with is everything will be in the app. So all self-contained, all the Patreon only, plus all the things that are available to everyone. So that's going to be pretty cool. Caveat on subscribing through the Patreon app through an Apple device, an iOS device. Do not subscribe through that app. Apple charges a 30% surcharge if you subscribe. So if you download the Patreon app on an iPhone or an iPad and you say, I'm going to become a Patreon subscriber for Fiber Talk, do not do it through there. They will hit you with a 30% surcharge, and that goes right to Apple. I don't see a cent of it.
Wow.
Yeah, 30%. So don't do that. Go to
So go
patreon.com
to the
slash
website.
fibertalk and sign up there. Then you can use the app But yeah, do not subscribe through that thing because the folks at Apple don't need more money. they they have their share. As I've done the analysis, they have their share. So yeah, don't do that. But that's so you'll go become a $5 member, and you go, wait a minute, it's costing me whatever 30% more of $5 is, and why is that? Well, that's Apple, and that's I mean, if they took 3 or 4%, okay, everybody gets a little cut, whatever.
Right.
I mean, Patreon gets a cut out of what the subscription is. I mean, they're providing a service. That's okay. But
Right.
30% is kind of
Hmm.
greedy. Yeah.
Right.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
Yep. And to that, consider patreon.com/fibertalk. Consider becoming a FiberTalk Patreon member. We're doing, we're hoping to record this week if we can get scheduled together. Teresa Baird of she's been doing these huge samplers of different states, and she has one coming out June 2nd on North Carolina, and so we're going to
Oh,
do a
it's stunning.
reaction video on that. That thing is stunning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even Cindy, who doesn't do samplers, wants a copy of that one. That's how good it is. So,
It's beautiful. It's
yeah,
beautiful. And you just mentioned 800 shows. Um, that costs a lot of money to store
yeah,
that kind of content,
yeah,
which is why the Patreon, that helps to support you
yeah.
with, the storage capability, the equipment that you need, the time you spend editing, like you
Mm-hmm.
just said,
Yeah.
and posting and fooling around with the website.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. No,
Yeah.
yeah, we're recording here Monday morning, and the rest of my day is now going to be sucked up fixing that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
Patreon support is very well appreciated and needed.
Yeah.
If you can support, that's wonderful.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, that is so true, and it is really appreciated because it does keep this going. Yeah, if you think we're making a killing off this thing, I just want to cover the costs. We love doing this. We enjoy talking about needlework. It's a lot of fun, just so it doesn't cost us anything. And yeah, so
Hmm.
that it is appreciated. So what? Oh, I'm doing the Friday 5 thing. I dug
Oh,
a
those
hole
are
with that.
fun.
Yeah, it's fun, but then it's also pressure every Friday to have a 5 minute something or other come up.
Hmm.
And so did one on tax this past Friday on tax for like stretcher bars and that kind of thing. I recorded that thing 5 times.
Oh no.
It was I was using my GoPro because I could move that around easily, but I couldn't get close enough, so it was out of focus.
Oh,
And so the first time I recorded it, and all the tacks were out of focus, so I had to go back and do it again with a different setting. That wasn't good enough, and that has image stabilization on it, so that So then, all right, now what am I? So I had to go to my phone on a holder, and that didn't have image stabilization. Finally, it was 10 o'clock at night. I'd been through this thing, and you think, well, it's only 5 minutes recording it. It's recording and processing, editing and processing, and finally it's 10 o'clock at night. All right, it's going to be a jiggly video. I'm done. It's just over. So and it's tax. So yeah, I got it done. But
yeah, right.
it's like, oh man, yeah. We had dinner, and I said, all right, I'm gonna run upstairs and record this Friday 5 thing and post it. And I come to bed. It was like 10:30. And what have you been doing? I'm yeah, recording, talking about tax for the
Five
last
minutes.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Jeez. Um,
So
but
actually, I don't like the big tax.
no,
Nope.
okay. You use the
I
small
find
brass
that
ones.
I use the brass ones,
Okay,
and I just figure they're a consumable.
they are. Yeah.
And I've actually I've also used I've used office tax,
Okay.
or, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
you can get those cheap. That's what that is.
Yeah.
But I do find that the brass tacks go in easier.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have very many of the office tacks left, I don't think.
Hmm.
Or no, I take that back. Most of these are. The
Yeah.
ones that are flat, like
Yeah. The ones you get in the local needlework store. Yeah.
yeah, I think there's one up here.
Yeah. One more. Yep. Right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Yeah.
It's a flat head. Those are the needlework tacks. All the rest of them are tacks from the office store. And they work fine. But they are, I do consider them expendable. They
Yeah.
get bent, the heads come off. I the big ones I think are harder to get out,
Hmm.
and I don't know that they hold your canvas any better.
Yeah. Well,
So it doesn't bother me to blow through a few tacks every time.
well, you certainly do that when you set up a project. There's no doubt. I've been happy with them. Only used them a couple
Yeah.
times, but now Donna LeBranch wrote and said that she doesn't use tacks with rounded heads because they don't play well in her System 4 clamps.
Oh yeah.
Because and now I'm using a Case Creation clamp which is metal, which is not unlike most of them. And initially, I did have it slip out
Hmm.
because basically the only part that's getting clamped is the high part of the tack. So
Right.
I just cranked it down harder, and I haven't had any trouble. But you know, but so basically there's no silver bullet, and
No.
yeah, but
It's like so many other things. What works best for you?
yeah, yeah. So give them a try. Um,
Yeah.
see what you like. Yep. So that's Patreon. Um, that is, yeah, join us. Patreon.com/fibertalk. $5 and $10. And this week was going to be testing the Zoom setup so we can start having Patreon Zoom sessions. And now the website stuff is going to suck up some hours. So I'll try to get that at the end of the week because I'd like to get that going because that's going to be fun to talk to
Mhm.
Patreon people and have them on a Zoom thing. That's going to be great fun. So I'm doing my best. Doing my best. This week's Friday Five is going to be an easy one. That it's got one shot. I'll be done. So that'll be good. I guarantee it. Yeah, right. right. We
We'll
have
hope
a
to see
show
that.
that Cindy Beth and I are going to do coming up on starting and ending threads. And I mentioned that a couple of times now. If you have frustrations or questions about starting and ending threads on any ground cloth, any technique, fire them at me, Gary at WeTalkFiber.com, so we can incorporate them in this show. Because we'll be looking at all of the different ways. Cindy's already done some stitching demonstrations so that we can see, and we're getting that together. So fire those questions or concerns or frustrations at me so that we can incorporate yours in the show because we hope to really get kind of a soup to nuts thing for and you think, well, we're beginning and ending a thread. That's a 5 minute discussion, and if you look into it, there's quite a bit to it,
Mhm.
depending on what you're doing. So,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Even with cross stitch, I mean, there's
Hmm.
if you're using silk and it's slippery, how do you make sure it stays anchored? There's yeah. So yeah. So that's coming up.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do a pin stitch for cross stitch until, I don't know, you and Beth were talking about it sometime last year or the
Yeah,
year before. I don't know when.
yeah,
Uh, and I do use it sometimes, not all the time, but
yeah,
it's a good way to start something, especially if it's, a little motif that's out in the middle of nothing and you have maybe two or three stitches.
yeah, Yep.
There's no other way to anchor it to
Right.
start it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I start a single strand. I start with pin stitch all the time. Usually I anchor behind or in front um, by weaving under. And you can't always anchor in front. When you can, it's fantastic. But right now, the one I'm doing, the sampler I'm doing, to anchor in front, you'd be able to see it every time. So I have to anchor in the back, and and people, yeah, people end with cross stitch and with pin stitches, and you can do that. But the way some people do it, I don't like it. You know, you know, I don't care for
Yeah,
it.
I've
So
I don't either.
yeah, so yep. So that show's coming up. Get questions to us. We're going to record that. I don't know, next couple weeks, I hope, and that'll be a Sunday show. But hopefully we can help some people. It gets back to you think, well, all right, that's the most basic thing, anchoring, starting and anchoring stitches, and you go, well, who doesn't know that? And it's that old adage that don't assume that people don't know. If you ask a question in a group, you're not the only one. The others just didn't ask the question. And
It's the first thing I think about, really. I mean,
mm-hmm,
not when I'm doing cross stitch because there's not that many options for cross stitch. But for needlepoint, am I going to do a pin stitch? Am I going to, just work under anchor under the threads? These are Spratz heads,
yep,
and I did a pin stitch under each one, and then I there we go. And then I just wove the ending thread in
mm-hmm,
through the sides of the pin stitch
yeah, yeah,
because they're out in the middle of nothing,
right,
and they're not it's a hard thread to do a waist knot or something. I mean, you could do a waist knot and then weave it in, but that's
right,
extra work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's just it. If you look at just that, a Sprat's head sitting out in by itself, there's how many ways that you can anchor and end a stitch, and you can't just weave it into the main body of the piece because then that you'll see that thread going across and that'll look lame. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, there's several
Yeah,
ways, and with those big stitches, to do a pin stitch or an L stitch underneath an area where the thread's going to go over two or three things is fantastic. You just
but you have to plan where it's going to
right.
go
Mm-hmm.
because some of them don't have a lot of some of the um, Jean Hilton stitches, the string art stitches, don't have a lot of coverage out towards the
Right.
edge.
Yeah.
You've got to get your pin stitch in a little ways so it'll
Yep.
be covered by all of the threads that are going over each other.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You got to watch. Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what makes well, how hard is that to start and end stitches? Well, exactly. There's all kinds of things that come into play. Yeah.
It's not hard. You just need to think about it.
Right. Yep. Plan ahead. Yeah.
And, so many times, when I've been in a class, that's the first question. Where do I start? How do I anchor my thread?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
To the point, Debbie's Rowley has gotten that so much that now she tells you in her instructions where to anchor your thread.
Oh, does she really? Oh my.
She does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it takes the guesswork out of it. I mean, you still have to kind of figure out where she tells you what to and she likes, and this is maybe content for the Sunday show, but she likes to go over. She does a pin stitch 3 times over the
Mm.
same location, and then goes off and does her stitch. But then you need to make sure that you put it in the right place. And I've taken out some of my motifs because I didn't get the pin stitch in exactly the right spot, and you
Yeah.
could see it.
Yep.
So it does take some planning
Yeah.
for some of these
Yeah.
stitches.
Yeah.
And then I I've
Good.
also found that you can't use that over 3 times always because it can leave a bump.
Right.
And so then you have to do other things.
Yeah, I'd have to think hard about that because, yeah, if you get a satin stitch like area and underneath that is a pin stitch that's over three and it raises up one thread, then, yeah, we can't be having that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it under satin stitch.
Right. Yeah. It's got to be something
Yeah,
else. And I've,
right.
I've had that where I've buried a start underneath some kind of a complex in relative terms stitch. And then I get to the spot and I end up having to put the actual stitch into the hole where my anchor is at. It's like, and then it's got to come out. You got to move it over one or something. Yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, you
Right.
gotta count. Yep.
Hmm.
I think embroidery people have the easiest time.
Make a knot.
Well, there's that, but then they can do those. They can do those little tiny pin stitches that over one thread on muslin that you really can't see. And yeah,
Right.
yeah, they can just start off to the races. But the rest of us, no, can't do it.
But
Yeah.
I would guess that a lot of people don't know about that
Hmm.
that are doing surface embroidery
Yeah.
because I didn't know about it until I saw Mary Corbett do it.
Oh. Oh.
And then it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Don't have to make a knot.
Yeah. No, you don't. You know, it'll hold, and you can't take it out. Matter of fact, if you have to take it out, it's a lot of work
Hmm.
to get in there with something small enough to dig that thread out. It's a lot of work. So will it hold? Yeah, it'll hold all day long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
and that's the thing when you were doing those where we were doing the stitch path thing that I learned from you was putting in a little pin stitch when you're going to change direction that gets covered up. See, that's a nice little trick where you
Hmm.
can change direction or whatever, and you need things to come up differently. Put a little stitch that nobody will see, and then come up where you want to. Handy,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Little tricks, yeah.
Yep.
And then as a result, the overall stitch looks so much better
Hmm.
because of that one little pin. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's
Yep.
more to it than you think. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
So okay, well, when we started, my comment before we started recording was, I don't know what we're going to talk about, and 48 minutes later, um, there we have it, and we haven't really touched the list. I will put just a word on copyright because it keeps showing up. Do not copy things. Do not share with others. Everybody buy your own copy. That goes for charts, books. If you have a group that is going to do something out of a book, everybody has to buy the book. You can't have buy one book and then copy. No, everybody has to buy the book. And it really comes down to you're supporting the artists. There's no doubt, but they deserve to be paid for their work. It's a lot of work. They deserve to be paid for it, and you're basically stealing their work.
Right.
Yeah. So just a word, and if you see it happening, raise your hand and say, "Hey, wait a minute. We all need to buy a copy here."
Hmm.
It came up the other day. Our daughter is a member of a symphonic band here in St. Louis. Really, Convergence is their name. Just top flight band. It's you think community band and you think a bunch of guys sitting around playing halfway in tune, hacking it out. These guys are, ugh, they are right at the pit, but they're self-supported. Biggest expense is music because I
Hmm.
mean, it's a band fill a big stage full of players, and you got to buy a copy for everybody.
Hmm.
Biggest expense, but you have to do it. And
Hmm.
again, that's the composer or arranger's work, and they deserve to be paid for that. And if you're going to
Hmm.
perform it and make money, Theirs is free. They take donations, but they're still taking in money. You got to pay for that. And
Right.
we were having a discussion with our daughter about the expense of music, and it's huge at that level. It's a huge expense. For us, a $20-$30 chart is not really a huge expense, and for a kit, if you take the cost of that in terms of a kit, linen, a set of silk threads, it's trivial. Come on, buy one. The artist created it. Pay them for it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
um,
Honor their work.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And if you don't, eventually they just quit doing it, and we lose out. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Downloadable PDFs, folks. Really, you download the PDF. That doesn't mean it goes in an email attachment to your 20 friends. No, no. Oh, just send me
Mm-mm.
the PDF. No, buy your own.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's it. We just have to
Oh, wait
keep.
a minute. I have
Oh,
things to show off.
you have things to show. Oh, we aren't even
I
close
have
to
things to
done. Oh
show.
my. Okay,
Well,
all Cindy all the
uh,
time. Here we go. Things to show for Cindy. Oh no.
ok- okay, this is called Dreaming of Spring. If I can get it straight. It's pattern darning, and the designer is Susan Jones, I think. It was in the American Needlepoint Guild magazine a few years ago, and our local chapter stitched it as a project.
That's cool. For audio listeners, pictures will be on the website, and I will put them all on Instagram when I post that. Um, that is really beautiful. Now, this interests me
Yeah.
because you've got the yellow down there.
Hmm.
Now, that's one where if you have too much, it can overwhelm. And I think in this instant, just enough,
Yeah.
because boy, that's a bright yellow.
It is a bright yellow.
Yeah. But it pulls your eye there. It's interesting. It really pulls your eye there because it's so bright. Boy, if you had much
Hmm.
more, it would be too much, wouldn't it? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pattern dining. Is the back available or is it covered?
No, but I might have a photo of it that I can send you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd
I
be
think I
curious to
took
see
a
how that comes out on the back.
it's the just the reverse of this.
Yeah,
This is stitched this way.
right.
It's just back and forth.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. I'd like to see the back side because that's a whole different pattern. Yeah.
Okay, I think I took a picture of the
If you
back.
have it. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
Okay, this one is called Garden Path.
Oh, you got it done. Oh my word.
Got it done.
Because we looked at that several weeks ago, right?
You've seen it several times while I've
Yeah.
been working on it.
Wow.
It's a Sue Reed piece.
Wow. Don't tell me
And
counted canvas is not creative. Right there.
yeah,
I don't even want to hear about it. Wow. That's nice.
thank you.
It came
I'm
out
really
great.
happy with the way it turned out.
Your colors?
My yeah, my colors.
Yeah. Well, it came out
Yeah,
great.
her colors. She used a Gloriana. I think it's a Gloriana silk that I forget what it's called, but it has burgundy and green and kind of cream in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to use a silk and colors thread called orange licorice,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what's in. So these are French uh, lazy daisy stitches in here, right
Oh,
here.
okay.
Those things
Wow.
that look like little crosses.
Those are
They're
lazy
lazy daisy
daisies.
stitches. Yeah,
Wow.
in that orange licorice. So it's orange and gray, basically. You can see it kind of along the the sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see the color changing.
Right. Wow.
And in the center too.
Yeah.
That's the thread.
You nailed those colors. That is really nice.
I'm really happy with it. And
Yeah.
the frame, you can see has a little bit of texture in it. You can't see that it has a tiny bit of copper in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I
So
see
it,
it. Yeah, it's kind of a hammered look, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the edge is silver or gray. So it looks really nice on the piece.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
then here is my first Fibonacci swirl.
Wow. Yep. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Whole different look. That thing, that design has so many lives to it. It's amazing. Yep. Just amazing.
Yep.
Completely different
So this
piece. Yep.
this one is done, and so I'll take it to get framed sometime soon. But I don't know yet how I'm going to frame it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all my show and tell.
Wow. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah, thank
Man,
you.
that Sue Reed one, put that back up again. Let's see that again. That is, there's so much life to it. You really got the colors nice. Wow. I mean, that one really hits me. Gorgeous.
I kind of like orange and black
Yeah.
and gray.
But see, it's orange. You get orange and black, but it's not Halloween. I guess that's.
Right,
It's not
right.
Halloween at all. It's not even close.
No.
And it's beautiful. Wow.
Well, again, the inspiration was the thread.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gorgeous. All right.
So you can see there's
Yeah.
a little bit of texture there in the center, but most of it's, you know, fairly flat.
Yeah. Did you have to have the framer raise the glass, or was the mat enough to keep it off the piece?
The mat was enough. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
he put a spacer under it.
Yeah. Wow. That's special.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's special. Yep.
Thank you.
Well played. Well played. Well, that was worth it.
Yeah. So what are
Yeah.
you working on?
Botany Bay and the fracture thing, and I gotta get my Phoenix sampler on slate frame. Best
Yeah.
chomping to go. Beth, who has no more whips left. She's all caught up. She's bored out of her mind. She's chomping to go on the Phoenix sampler so she has something to stitch because she's got. You know how she is. She gets them started and she finishes them all, and then she just sits there twiddling her thumbs, and she's got nothing to do. And
Yeah.
we're at that point. So, yeah,
Yeah. And I need to get mine on the scroll frames
yeah,
so so that we can start it. We
yep,
we need to do that so we can start it
right,
too.
yeah, yeah. Because right now, Beth, I think she's probably just watching TV because she's got nothing to stitch. So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
I'm
really,
sure.
really
Yeah.
almost criminal. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, if you believe that, um, it's some swampland in Florida for you. Yep.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right, we're
Okay.
out. Patreon.com/Fiber Talk if you would like to subscribe and support us and get lots of extra things. And that's it. Thanks for listening.